When night falls and the final sounds of a long day sink slowly into silence, there may still be something within you that has not yet found its rest. A weary mind, thoughts circling in quiet spirals, questions murmuring beneath the surface like an underground stream. We live in a world that is always bright, always hurried, always demanding more than a small human heart can gracefully carry. And in this very moment, as you lie down and exhale softly, I want to invite you into another kind of journey, a gentler one. Tonight we'll talk about sleep, why the body needs it, why the mind dreams, and why dreams take on such strange and delicate colors. But more importantly, this will be a conversation for the deepest part of you, the part that longs to be heard, to be understood, to be at peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." And tonight, that is where you will return. Let this voice guide you through the layers of awareness, through science, through philosophy, through the quiet mysteries of dreaming, until gently you find yourself lighter and drifting into a deeper, softer sleep. Chapter 1, The Nature of Sleep, when night settles softly and the outer world begins to sink into the slow rhythm of darkness. There may still be something inside you that has not yet been put down. A quiet worry, an unfinished thought, a faint echo rising from the depths of your own mind. We often think of evening as the moment we end a day, but in truth it is the moment we begin a journey inward, the gentlest journey a human being can take, the journey into sleep. You know, sleep has never been simply a period when we switch off. It is not a simple on-off mechanism. In reality, it is one of the most delicate biological rituals our bodies perform each night. William Dement, one of the founders of modern sleep science, once said, "Dreaming permits each and every one of us to be quietly and safely insane every night of our lives." And he said this not to frighten us, but to remind us that sleep is a deep world, a realm where we do not disappear, but quietly come alive again. To understand sleep, we must begin with this truth. Sleep is not the shutting down of the brain, but its transformation. In the darkness, as you lie down, close your eyes and your breath begins to slow, the brain starts a subtle choreography, a rise and fall of electrical waves moving like the tides. Sleep has its own rhythm, slow, deep flowing, like a symphony your body has rehearsed across millions of years of evolution. This journey unfolds in cycles lasting around 90 minutes, and you repeat them 4 to 6 times each night. Each cycle is like a circle carrying you from the surface of awareness into the deepest chambers of your inner world, then gently lifting you back toward the shore of dreams. In science, we call these realms NREM, and REM, 2 worlds within a single night. NREM 1. The fragile doorway between waking and sleep. Most people have felt that sudden drop, that tiny jolt before falling asleep, the sensation of slipping off a small ledge. That is the moment you step through the first doorway, NREM 1. In this stage, you can still hear faint sounds around you, still sense your body on the bed, yet the mind has already begun to drift like a small boat leaving its harbor. What's fascinating is that if someone touches you and asks, "Are you asleep?" you would likely answer, "Not yet." But in truth, the journey has already begun. NREM 2. When the outer world fades, go a little deeper and you enter NREM 2, the moment your body truly begins to surrender. Your temperature drops, your heartbeat slows, your eyes grow still beneath their lids. Strange wave patterns appear in the brain, sleep spindles and K complexes, as if the mind were hanging a small sign outside its door. Do not disturb. This is the stage that fills most of your night. The place where the brain decides what to keep, what to release, what to forget, so the mind can wake lighter tomorrow. NREM 3. The deepest place where healing begins. If sleep were an ocean, NREM 3 would be the trench where no light reaches. This is deep sleep, the stage where brain waves slow steady and strengthen like the heartbeat of the earth. Your body begins its quiet work of repair muscles, recover tissues, regenerate the immune system, strengthens. This is the stage scientists call restorative sleep. If you've ever woken feeling as though your whole body had been gently reset, this depth is the reason. REM, where dreams bloom. About 90 minutes after you drift into darkness, the brain suddenly brightens, almost as vivid as when you're awake. This is REM sleep, where dreams arise. Your eyelids tremble, your eyes dart beneath the thin veil of skin. Meanwhile, the body lies still, gently paralyzed, so you do not act out your dreams. Here, memories, emotions, fragments of the day, hidden hopes, all merge into worlds logic cannot reach. Carl Jung once wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections. The dream is a little hidden door in the innermost and most secret recesses of the soul. And in REM, that hidden door opens. Why must we sleep? Theories like small lanterns in the dark, science has offered many explanations for the purpose of sleep repair and detox the body and brain restore themselves. Energy conservation resting to reduce expenditure like animals sheltering through the cold night. Memory consolidation shifting memories from temporary to long-term storage. The glymphatic system, the brain's nightly cleaning crew sweeping away toxins accumulated during the day. Different theories, yes, but all pointing to one truth. No creature on earth lives without sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. Sleep is the truth of being alive. Sleep a metaphor for being human. Sometimes I think perhaps sleep is the perfect metaphor for life. We must let go in order to rise again. We must fall into darkness for the morning light to reach us. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "All truly great thoughts are conceived by walking." If he lived in the age of sleep science, perhaps he would have added and completed in sleep. For in that quiet darkness, the mind is rearranged, emotions are cleansed, and we ourselves are gently remade little by little. And now let me tell you this. If you are listening with half-closed eyes, with breath slowing, and with a heart still carrying unnamed weariness, know that your body is preparing to enter a ritual older than every religion, every civilization, the ritual of sleep. No effort is needed, no striving, no tension. Let this night become the moment you truly rest into yourself. Sleep is not merely a biological need, it is the body's soft whisper. You have done enough. Let me handle the rest. And from here, our journey has only just begun. Part 2. Why do we dream? The journey into the inner mind? As we rise from the deepest layers of sleep, where the body heals and the breath follows the ancient rhythm of life itself, you may notice something profoundly human. No matter how essential sleep is, the thing that stirs our curiosity the most is the dream. Sleep is the ritual of the body, but dreams are the ritual of the soul. At the end of part 1, we touched the wonder of REM, the place where the brain lights up like a city at night, where memories, emotions, and fragments of the unconscious blend in ways that reason itself cannot follow. And from that shimmering landscape, our next journey begins. Take a slow breath and let your mind slide gently toward one of the oldest questions humanity has ever asked. Why do we dream? We cannot speak of dreams without mentioning Freud, the man who devoted his life to listening to what happens in the dark corridors of the mind. In the interpretation of dreams, he wrote, "The dream is the disguised fulfillment of a suppressed or repressed wish." To Freud, dreams were not meaningless chaos. They were the whispered language of repressed desires, the coded messages of truths we don't dare confront when awake. When you dream of flying, Freud believed it might be a yearning to escape pressure or invisible restraints. When you dream of hidden rooms, perhaps those are the chambers of your soul you have never opened. But Freud was not the conclusion, only the beginning of a longer, wider, deeper journey. In the 1970s, neuroscience offered a completely different view. According to the activation synthesis theory during a REM, the brainstem fires random signals, no story, no inherent meaning, and our cortex, with its instinct to impose order on chaos, weaves these fragments into narratives. In other words, the brain despises meaninglessness, so it creates meaning. Just as you look at clouds and see faces, animals, familiar shapes, dreams arise from the mind, stitching order onto scattered signals. And yet, even in the randomness, we feel something very real in dreams, real fear, real longing, real desire. That is where the soul enters a frame science cannot always explain. Perhaps you've dreamed of being chased, or of falling into darkness, or of facing some vague danger. According to the threat simulation theory, such dreams are not meant to frighten you. They are evolutionary inheritance, a rehearsal drill that allowed ancient humans to practice survival in a safe environment. Dreams are the battlefield of fear, and each night quietly we become braver. The mind revisits dangers we had no time to understand during the day. As if the soul were saying, "Let me help you train. Tomorrow, you will be stronger." But dreams are not only shadows, they are also where memories rearrange themselves like cards in a library. When you dream of old faces, old streets, fragments you thought forgotten, it is not random. Modern research shows that REM is when the brain processes, gathers, sorts, and softens memories from the day. What matters is kept. What hurts is made gentler. What troubles us is put into safer drawers. In Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker wrote, "Dreaming is the emotional thermostat of our lives. Dreams cool emotions that run too hot. soften the things that hurt, smooth the sharp edges of memory. That is why some people wake lighter even after a night of strange or heavy dreaming. People say dreams are the brain's Netflix, but in truth, they are far more. In dreams, we meet those we've lost, walk into strange rooms, speak with different versions of ourselves. We become children wanderers, lovers, fugitives, the selves we fear to be the selves we long to be, the selves we cannot be in waking life. Dreams do not obey physics, morality, or time. They obey emotion, the most ancient language of the soul, and that is why we need dreams as much as we need air to survive within ourselves. If Freud saw dreams as the chamber of desire, Jung saw them as the mirror of the soul. In the Red Book he wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." To Jung, dreams were conversations between consciousness and the unconscious, as if we were sitting in a dim room listening to the soul whisper about things daylight makes us forget. Dreams reveal archetypes, the oldest patterns in the human psyche: the mother, the warrior, the shadow, the wanderer. These are not our private stories. They are the stories of humanity. In part 1, we traveled through the biological landscape of sleep, the layers, the waves, the quiet cycles. But part 2 opens a different landscape, the landscape of the soul. If sleep is where the body heals, dreams are where the mind responds with symbols, with metaphors, with stories. Logic cannot grasp, but the heart recognizes instantly. These strange dreams, fears, desires, surreal scenes are messages from your deepest self. And if you are listening to these words in the gentle darkness of your room, your eyes half closed, there is something I want you to know. Dreams are not foreign to you. They are part of you. They are your heart speaking to you in the only language it knows. Whether you remember your dreams or not, whether they are beautiful, strange, or shadowed, each night your mind is working, healing, soothing, and reorganizing all that you carry through the day. Dreams are the way the soul tends to itself. So let the dreams come soft as a breeze, deep as still water. And let tonight become the place where you return to yourself whole, peaceful, and quietly present in every breath. Part 3. Inside the dreaming brain, as we step away from the gentle landscapes of Part 2, where we explored theories, hypotheses, and dreams as whispers of the soul, you may find yourself wondering, but what in the end is actually happening inside my brain when I dream? Dreams may appear to be a spiritual mystery, yet they are also a physical event. They sit at the strange intersection between biology and soul, between gray matter and emotion, between the subconscious and the dim glow of awareness. And to understand this story, we must enter the backstage of the night, the place where each region of the brain works quietly, like hidden artists crafting a world just for you. Take a soft, slow breath, and let me guide you on a small tour of what we call the nocturnal mind. When you enter REM, the stage where the most vivid dreams unfold, the part of the brain that becomes most active is not the home of logic. It is the amygdala, the center of primal emotion. Perhaps that is why dreams are always drenched in feeling joy that tightens the chest, fear that breaks into sweat, sadness that lingers long after waking. Dreams are not merely images, they are sensations. Nietzsche once wrote, "In Beyond Good and Evil, there is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness." When the amygdala glows in the dream, we too live in a kind of madness, not insanity, but liberation from control. Dreams are where emotions flow without judgment. If the amygdala is the heart, then the hippocampus is the storyteller. It shuffles, blends, and rearranges your memories: an old afternoon, a conversation left unfinished, a fear you thought you had forgotten. When the hippocampus activates during REM, you dream those strange scenes where past and present melt into each other like layers of watercolor. You meet someone from your past in a city that does not exist. You return to childhood with the face you have now. You live moments that never actually happened. The dream becomes a library in which old books open each page, a memory softened and made more merciful. Why are dreams so vivid? Why can we see colors, light, faces, places that have never been? That is the work of the occipital lobe, the brain's visual center. Even with your eyes shut, this region behaves as though you are staring into reality itself. In the silent darkness of a room, the brain creates landscapes meant only for you. A violet forest, a flooded room, a sky shattered into pieces of glass. These images appear not as deception, but as a language saying things daylight cannot articulate. Carl Jung once wrote in Modern Man in Search of a Soul, Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart, and perhaps dreams are the moment the heart opens its eyes. One of the strangest qualities of dreaming is our absolute acceptance of the illogical flying, dying, and returning, speaking to the dead, walking through cities in a single blink. The reason is simple. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for reasoning, judgment, and logic, is nearly silent during REM. In dreams, you simply move through events as though everything were natural. No questioning, no analyzing, no resistance. Dreams are not the territory of reason. They are the stage of the unconscious. And when reason goes quiet, we begin to hear other sounds, tiny, fragile, but deeply true. In dreams, you run, leap, fight, cry, embrace someone with your whole being, and yet your body lies still as a drop of water on a calm lake. This stillness comes from REM paralysis, a protective mechanism that temporarily disables your muscles so you won't physically act out your dreams. It is the body's absolute silence, so the mind can have absolute freedom. When you understand this, you see that dreams are like a film in which you are actor, audience, and director, all happening within the hush of a sleeping body. And when you place all these pieces together, the amygdala, hippocampus, occipital lobe, prefrontal cortex, REM paralysis, you realize dreams are not chaos at all. They are a nocturnal symphony with every instrument playing its part to create a world only you can enter. Dreams are not random. They are the language the brain uses to speak with itself. Dostoevsky once wrote, "In the dream of a ridiculous man, I dreamt that I had discovered the truth. And then I saw that the dream itself was the truth." Perhaps dreams are not pathways toward truth. Perhaps dreams are a form of truth, one that belongs not to logic, but to emotion. In part 2, we said that dreams are the language of the unconscious. But in part 3, we see this clearly through each region of the brain. Dreams are where memory is edited, where emotions are amplified, where images are born out of emptiness, where reason falls silent so the soul can speak. If part 2 asks why, then part 3 answers how. And if you are listening to this now, maybe your eyelids are growing heavy. Maybe your breath has slowed. Maybe your mind is drifting like a small boat on a night-lit lake. That's all right. Let me tell you this before you slip into your next dream. You are never alone in the dark. Within you, a mechanism more delicate than any machine in the world is working only to help you heal. Understand, soften, and live more lightly. Dreams are not places you wander into. Dreams are places you return to. Let me guide you next into part 4, where we interpret the symbols your dreams offer you. But if you fall asleep before we reach that chapter, that's perfectly fine, because the dream itself will continue the story for you. Part 4, the most common dream symbols. As we step out from the journey through the nocturnal brain, where each region worked like an anonymous artist, quietly shaping entire worlds of light and emotion, a softer question naturally begins to emerge. If dreams are a language, then what do their symbols mean? From the time humanity first painted on cave walls, we have known one truth: when the mind cannot speak in words, it speaks in symbols. And dreams are the place where that ancient language awakens. Carl Jung, who devoted his life to exploring the realm of symbols, once wrote in Man and His Symbols, "The dream is the theater in which the dreamer is both the scene, the actor, the prompter, the producer, and the audience. Within that theater, every image carries half truth, half mystery." Let me guide you gently onto that stage, slowly, softly, to explore patterns so universal that millions of people across cultures, centuries, and lives have encountered them. Dreams of falling, the echo of losing control. Falling is one of the oldest motifs in the dream world. You fall from a building, a cliff, an endless staircase, or sometimes from nowhere at all, as if gravity suddenly gives way beneath your feet. These dreams often appear during moments of transition, losing a job, shifting environments, a fragile relationship, an unclear future. They are the unconscious whispering, "I'm afraid I can't hold everything together." And yet what is most interesting is this: you almost never hit the ground. A silent reminder that no matter how unsteady life feels, you have not shattered, not once. Dreams of being chased, the shadow we avoid. Being chased is not merely fear, it is avoidance. Many people dream of running from someone or something, a dark figure, an animal, a faceless presence. The important part is not the pursuer, it is the question, what are you running from? These dreams often arise when you are avoiding a truth, a difficult conversation, a decision you have delayed, or a part of yourself you fear to acknowledge. Jung called this the shadow, the hidden self within each of us. And sometimes that shadow, only wants you to turn around and listen. Dreams of losing teeth. The fragility of identity. To dream of losing teeth is remarkably common. The fear it evokes is not from pain, but from the complete loss of control. Teeth symbolize strength, voice, confidence. Dreams like these often reflect insecurity, self-doubt, or fear of not being enough in the eyes of someone important. And yet there is something curious. These dreams often appear when the mind wants you to release your tight grip, as if opening a door for you to take a deeper breath and say, "It's all right. You don't need to be perfect." Dreams of exams, the echo of pressure. You sit in an exam room, the paper is in front of you, your hand slips, you haven't studied at all. Even people who left school decades ago continue to have this dream. Why? Because school is where we first learned about evaluation failure and expectation. Those emotions root themselves in the nervous system far longer than the lessons ever did. Exam dreams are not about exams, they are about pressure, about not feeling ready, about fearing you may not be good enough for the role life is asking you to play. Dreams of flying, the longing for release. In contrast to falling, flying is a symbol of beauty. You rise light as wind. Your heart opens. No weight, no limit. These dreams often appear when you crave freedom, wish to break from pressure, or desire a breakthrough beyond the tight walls of circumstance. Freud saw flying as the liberation of repressed desire. Jung saw it as a sign of individuation, the journey of becoming yourself. For many, flying is simply a gentle gift from the soul. You can still be lighter, higher, wider. Water, the map of emotion. Water is one of the most evocative symbols in dreaming. Deep oceans, flowing rivers, still lakes, rising floods. Water is always emotion, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, sometimes dark, sometimes clear. Dreams of water are never about water. They are about you, about what you feel, but have not yet named. If the water is still, perhaps you are finding peace. If it swirls, something may be stirring. If it rises, you may be overwhelmed by pressure or sadness. Water in dreams is the map of the heart. Dreams of the dead, the unspoken longing. These are the dreams that make many wake with tears in their eyes. When we meet someone who has gone in a hug, a sentence, a glance, not memory, not logic, not illusion, but a sacred moment. Science says it is memory and emotion revived by the hippocampus. Philosophy says it is the echo of longing. The soul says, you still love them. Such dreams do not warn or predict. They are symbols of healing, a chance to say what remained unfinished. Part 3 revealed the physical architecture of dreaming, how the brain builds worlds in darkness. Part 4 reveals the soul of those worlds, the symbols, the stories, the signs the unconscious uses to speak with us. If Part 3 is the architect, Part 4 is the poet. Dreams are not only created, they are written. And now let your mind drift. If you are lying in gentle darkness, let these symbols float past you like small boats on still water. No need to analyze, no need to decode. Dreams do not arrive to test you. Dreams arrive to accompany you. These symbols, falling, running, flying, water, the dead may be the whispers you send to yourself. Tonight, when you close your eyes, these images may return, or they may not. If they do, greet them softly. For dreams are the tender threads connecting you to the deepest part of your soul. And in the quiet of this night, perhaps that soul is longing to be heard. Part 5, Nightmares, when dreams turn dark. As we step out of the symbolic garden of dreams, where falling, flying water and familiar faces become the language of emotion, you may feel your heart a little lighter, as if you've understood a hidden corner of your inner world. But dreams are not written solely in gentle shades. Behind those bright regions lie the darker corners that everyone touches at least once in their life. Nightmares. Nightmares are the dreams we never invite. They are not soft, not tender, not poetic like the ones we wish for. They arrive like a cold wind brushing down your spine, like a strange sound echoing through darkness, like a truth you do not want to remember. And yet because of this, they deserve understanding, not fear, but gentleness. In Letters to a Young Poet, Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "Perhaps everything terrible is in its deepest being something helpless that wants help from us. So are nightmares. They do not come to harm you, they come to be heard." After Part 4, where dreams were treated as the language of metaphor, Part 5 is where we learn to look at that language even when it becomes sharp, chaotic, or shadowed. Because sometimes what frightens us most contains the greatest truth. Where do nightmares begin? No nightmare appears without cause. They are fragments of life that fall into the mind, gathering into waves that crash onto the shores of the dream world. Their roots are often closer than we think. Prolonged stress, unfinished conversations, repressed emotions, unnamed sadness, unspoken fear, psychological trauma, PTSD medication, late meals, nights of shallow sleep. The brain, like a quiet guardian, records all that we experience. And when night falls, it releases those fragments into dreams. But because the prefrontal cortex sleeps, those fragments are not organized by logic. They blend into frightening shapes, not because they are evil, but because they are not yet understood. A nightmare is not your enemy. It is a message, a signal, a gentle warning, a voice calling from the depths. Something needs your attention. Nightmares as an evolutionary tool for survival. It may sound strange, but nightmares are part of a brain shaped across millions of years to help humans survive. According to the threat simulation theory, nightmares once served as the training ground for our ancestors. Dangerous scenarios played out so the brain could practice reacting without risking real harm. You run in your dream. Your ancestors fled from predators. You face a threat. Your brain is practicing how to analyze danger. This shows that nightmares are not cracks in the soul. They are our oldest shield. Nightmares do not come to frighten you. They come to prepare you. Nightmares and repressed emotion. In life, there are things we do not say, cannot face, or do not want to feel. We bury them under work noise, responsibility, or shallow conversations. But when night comes, when no one calls your name and the light disappears, the unconscious begins to whisper. A nightmare, in its own way, is the mirror of what remains unhealed. It reflects feelings you avoid during the day. It says, I know you are strong, but you do not need to be strong all the time. In dreams, we meet our fragility once again. And sometimes the most frightening thing is simply that we do not allow ourselves to be fragile. Nightmares are not images, they are feelings. Nightmares are not always monsters or horrors. Sometimes they are feelings, the feeling of being abandoned, misunderstood, lost, trapped, defeated. You may dream of standing alone in a crowded street, or watching someone you love turn away without a word, or trying to scream only to find no sound comes out. These dreams are not frightening in the traditional sense, yet they shake the heart. They are emotional memories returning in symbolic form. The brain is speaking in images about what the heart cannot speak in words. How do we heal nightmares? Science does not view nightmares as something to erase. It sees them as something to understand. A few helpful methods: CBTI, which teaches you to react differently to nightmares, reducing their sense of threat. Image rehearsal therapy. IRT, which lets you rewrite your nightmare script while awake. Good sleep hygiene, avoiding caffeine, avoiding screens, keeping the room dark and cool to ease the brain's tension. Meditation and deep breathing to calm the nervous system. And most importantly, speak with yourself. Ask gently, what am I avoiding? What is frightening me so deeply? Why did this image appear tonight? You do not have to answer immediately. Just asking is enough. The mind softens on its own. Dreams are the language of symbols, and even the darkness within those symbols carries meaning. Falling, flying, water, light, all are the voice of the soul. Nightmares are the same voice written in bolder strokes. Dreams are never against you. They always stand with you. Only sometimes they speak with a stronger voice. And now let the night grow gentler. If you have ever awakened in the middle of the night, heart pounding, eyes wide in the dark, know this: you are not alone. There is no one who has not encountered nightmares. No one who has not feared their own darkness. But the most beautiful truth is this: every nightmare ends and you remain. You are still here, you are still breathing. A nightmare is only a wave, but you are the ocean. Let these words rest softly within you. Every nightmare contains a sun waiting at the end of its tunnel. And in this very moment, that light is waiting for you in the chapters ahead of our journey. Part 6, Lucid Dreaming, when you become the weaver of your own dreams. As we step out of the darkness of nightmares, where old fears, buried memories, and untouched wounds quietly revealed themselves, you may be sensing something profoundly human that even dreams can shake us, make our breath quicken, or leave us feeling helpless. Yet from within that darkness, another doorway opens, a doorway to a remarkable ability humans have always carried within them: the ability to awaken inside a dream. Lucid dreaming, a fragile state between waking and sleep, like standing on the border of two worlds, one belonging to the unconscious and the other to a gentle, luminous awareness. If nightmares sweep us away, lucid dreams allow us to stand firm. If nightmares show us what needs healing, lucid dreams offer the chance to step into the mirror without fear. And tonight, I want to lead you into that world. What is lucid dreaming? A moment of awakening inside the dark. A lucid dream happens when you are dreaming, but you know that you are dreaming. The brain remains in REM, the realm of vivid imagery, intense emotion, and physiological paralysis. But a small part of the prefrontal cortex lights up like a candle rising in a dark room. That candle is awareness. And this awareness shifts you from being a mere observer to becoming the creator. In this state, you may know you are dreaming. Direct your actions within the dream. Alter scenes or storylines, face your fears with gentle clarity, create experiences impossible in waking life. But the most beautiful part of lucid dreaming is not that you can fly, walk on water, or step through enchanted doorways, but that you realize your mind is far more expansive than you ever imagined. Why do lucid dreams occur? Scientifically, lucid dreams are the strange blend of strong emotional activity and a light reawakening of cognitive awareness. Philosophically, they echo a state Nietzsche once described in Thus Spoke Zarathustra: "You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes?" Lucid dreams allow us to awaken within our own world, to be reborn inside the landscape of our psyche, to understand ourselves and to heal what was left behind. How to enter a lucid dream, a gentle journey. Not everyone lucid dreams right away, but like meditation, it is a skill that can be cultivated, and this practice quietly, softly becomes a form of healing. Here are a few techniques commonly used in sleep science. Dream journal. Each time you wake, write down your dreams. The more you record, the more sensitive your mind becomes to the dream world, increasing the chance of realizing I am dreaming. Reality checks. During the day, ask yourself whether you are dreaming. Look at a clock twice, pinch your nose, and try to breathe through it. These habits follow you into the dream. Mild mnemonic induction of lucid dreams. Before sleep, whisper to your mind, "Tonight when I dream, I will know that I am dreaming." Your mind remembers. WBGI, wake back to bed. Sleep 45 hours, wake gently for 15 minutes, then return to sleep. This reactivates the prefrontal cortex just before REM. Wild wake initiated lucid dream, entering directly from wakefulness into a lucid dream, a challenging but magical technique like stepping through a doorway that opens right in front of you. No technique is mandatory. Lucid dreaming is not something to conquer. It is connection, a gentle knocking from the inner self. What is lucid dreaming for? When you become the dream's weaver, the possibilities open wide. Healing nightmares. You can stop running, turn around, and ask the figure chasing you, "Who are you?" The answer may change your life. Self-discovery. In lucid dreams, you encounter parts of yourself forgotten during the day. The wounded child, the strong adult, the bright self, the shadow self, the self longing for freedom, creativity. Artists, scientists, and philosophers throughout history have drawn inspiration from lucid dreams. It is a realm where imagination knows no boundary. Skill rehearsal. The brain simulates motion and sensation with startling accuracy. Practicing music, martial arts, public speaking, all can be explored within a lucid dream. But the most beautiful gift is this. Lucid dreaming teaches you that fear can be faced and darkness can be embraced. It is the universe's softest reply. You can walk into the dark with a lantern in your hand. If nightmares are the cry, then lucid dreams are the embrace. If nightmares say, "Look at me," lucid dreams say, "You are strong enough to look." They are not opposites. They complete each other like night and moonlight. One makes you tremble, the other steadies you. If you are listening to this voice in a quiet room with a soft, warm light touching the ceiling, know that your mind has already traveled far from the symbols of dreams to the shadows of nightmares, and now to the freedom of lucid dreaming. You do not need to lucid dream tonight. You do not need to force anything. Let dreams arrive as they are, softly, quietly, as natural as your own breath. And if one moment in the middle of a dream, a candle suddenly lights and you realize you are dreaming, smile. For you have just touched one of the most delicate miracles of being human. Part 7, Sleep Disorders, when the night becomes a fragile borderland. As we step away from the luminous world of lucid dreams in Part 6, where you could perceive shape and gently walk through your fears like a wanderer, aware of the dream beneath their feet, perhaps you've begun to sense something profound. Dreams are not merely things that happen to us, but places we can meet, explore, and even understand in our own quiet way. But sleep, much like waking life, is not always serene. There are nights when the mind does not lead us into fields of dreams, but pauses at delicate thresholds, where body and consciousness fall out of sync, where the natural rhythms of sleep are disrupted, where the darkness feels heavier than usual. This is where sleep disorders appear, not to frighten us, but to remind us that even the most natural processes have their own curves and whispers that deserve attention. Nietzsche once wrote in Human, All Too Human, "There is something in the human spirit that will survive and prevail." And this remains true even on the most restless nights. Let me guide you further softly, slowly, as if we are holding the quiet breath of the night together. Sleep paralysis. When you awaken inside a body still asleep, among countless sleep disturbances, sleep paralysis may be the most common and most frightening. Not because it hurts, but because it strips away the illusion of control. You wake. You know you are awake, but your body lies still like stone. You try to move nothing. You try to cry out silence, and sometimes vivid hallucinations appear, a shadow at the corner of the room, footsteps behind you, or a crushing weight on your chest. But scientifically, this is simply a mismatch between consciousness and REM paralysis. The mind has awakened while the body remains in the dream's protective mechanism. Sleep paralysis is an incomplete farewell between two worlds. Folklore blames spirits or supernatural forces. Science simply says the body is tired, the mind overwhelmed, or the sleep cycle disrupted. Most importantly, you always come out of it, and it can never harm you. Sleepwalking when the body walks, but the mind stays behind. If sleep paralysis is waking while the body sleeps, then sleepwalking is its mirror image. The body awakens, the mind sleeps. Sleepwalkers may open doors, wander through the house, even perform complex actions, yet wake in the morning with no memory of any of it. This happens when the brain slips into a half-awake, half-asleep limbo, motor regions active, cognitive regions silent, like a still lake. Common in children whose sleep architecture is still developing, and in adults facing stress sleep disorders or genetic tendencies. But here is what matters most. Sleepwalkers are not crazy, not dangerous. They are simply caught between two states of themselves, as if the body keeps walking while the mind stays curled softly behind. Narcolepsy. When the boundary between waking and dreaming dissolves, narcolepsy is one of the rarest yet most deeply human sleep disorders. It occurs when the system that regulates sleep and wakefulness falters, causing overwhelming daytime sleepiness. Sudden sleep attacks, vivid hallucinations, sleep paralysis, and sometimes cataplexy, the sudden loss of muscle control triggered by emotion. Narcolepsy is not laziness, not weakness. It is a biological condition tied to a deficit of hypocretin, the chemical that keeps us awake. People with narcolepsy live in a world where sleep and wakefulness overlap, blend, intertwine like two rivers sharing one channel. They deserve understanding. They deserve compassion. Because in their stories, we see the fragility of the human body and the resilience of the human spirit, waking each day to face a biology that demands more gentleness than most. Restless leg syndrome, when the legs want to speak RLS, is less dramatic than paralysis or narcolepsy, but quietly distressing. It is the urge, sometimes unbearable, to move the legs due to discomfort, tingling, or restlessness, linked to dopamine, to iron levels, to the nervous system itself. But above all, it interrupts sleep, leaving people exhausted, irritable, and misunderstood, dismissed as anxious, fidgety, or overactive. But no, RLS is real. It is the body's subtle voice, sometimes hard to hear, sometimes persistent, but always honest. If lucid dreams are the light places where we see clearly, then sleep disorders are the shadows, places where we listen more carefully. But light and shadow both belong to the night. Both teach us who we are. Lucid dreams reveal our abilities. Sleep disorders reveal our limits. And between ability and limit, we meet our truest humanity. If you are listening to this at the end of a long day, perhaps your eyes have begun to droop. Perhaps your body is sinking softly into the bed. Perhaps your mind is drifting somewhere between waking and sleep. Know this: sleep disorders do not make you wrong. They do not make you weak. They do not make you abnormal. They are simply signs of a body trying to protect you in its own quiet way. Let this voice carry you onward, smooth as water. Because beyond these disorders, there are still many beautiful truths about sleep waiting for you. Part 8. The Science of Poor Sleep and Insomnia, when the mind refuses to rest. After moving through the strange territories of sleep disorders, places where sleep becomes a fragile border between consciousness and the unconscious, we return to something far more familiar, yet more persistent and quietly painful: insomnia. If sleep paralysis frightens you, if sleepwalking confuses you, if narcolepsy distorts the flow of time, then insomnia leaves you exhausted within your own wakefulness. No dark figure, no hallucination, no sudden collapse of the muscles, only a mind that refuses to turn off. A body wanting rest while the brain glows like a midnight city. And perhaps that is why insomnia has become one of the most common modern sufferings, a silent condition that seeps slowly into your breath, your emotions, your daylight energy. Marcus Aurelius once asked in Meditations, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And when you cannot sleep, the color often becomes gray, blurred, weary, dim. But don't worry, we will walk through this gently as if moving through a dark forest, knowing there is always light at the end of the path. The cycle of insomnia, a delicate mental trap. Insomnia takes many shapes: difficulty falling asleep, fragmented sleep, waking in the middle of the night, unable to return to rest, or rising too early with a mind that feels shaken awake. But all these forms revolve around the same loop: stress, poor sleep, fear of not sleeping, more insomnia. The mind is already tense, and when night comes, it tightens further. You lie down, and instead of relaxing, you begin calculating 5 hours left until I need to get up. 4 hours left. What if I don't sleep at all? And it is these thoughts, not any nighttime monster, that unravel your sleep. The bed which should cradle you in peace becomes a battlefield, a place where you wrestle with yourself. In psychology, this is called conditioned arousal. A learned association bed equals tension bed equals failure bed equals struggle. There is nothing wrong with you. This is simply how the brain learns from experience. It is not trying to harm you. It is trying in its own mistaken way to protect you. The biology behind a restless night insomnia is not merely not being able to sleep. It is a disruption of the sympathetic nervous system, melatonin rhythms, circadian cycles, stress regulation systems, and sometimes the very content of your thoughts. When you try to force yourself to sleep, the fight or flight system believes you are in danger. It releases adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart quickens, your breath shortens, your muscles tighten, your mind sharpens, and sleep slips further away. Like trying to soothe a crying child by shouting at them, everything only gets worse. Small habits that quietly destroy sleep. Insomnia often does not come from trauma or major events. It comes from small habits. We overlook drinking coffee after 2 p.m., screen light suppressing melatonin alcohol, helping you fall asleep but destroying deep sleep. Weekend catch-up sleep that disrupts circadian rhythms. Bedrooms too bright, too warm, or too noisy. Our bodies are exquisitely sensitive instruments. A single off-key note can throw the entire symphony of sleep out of rhythm. How do we escape the spiral of insomnia? There is no magic pill, but there is a path, slow, steady, and full of gentleness toward yourself. CBTI. The gold standard for insomnia, not medication, not meditation alone, not forcing sleep, but learning a new relationship with sleep. CBTI teaches 3 essential principles. Sleep restriction, limiting time in bed. It sounds counterintuitive, but it works. You only stay in bed for the hours you truly sleep. If you sleep 5 hours, you only lie down for 5 hours. As sleep stabilizes, you gradually increase. Your brain relearns bed equals sleep, not bed equals anxiety, stimulus control, reshaping your sleep environment. If you cannot sleep after 20 minutes, get up. Leave the room, do something gentle, read a few lines. Return only when sleepy. Never try to sleep. Changing thought patterns, and instead of, if I don't sleep tomorrow will be ruined, try, I just need to rest. My body will sleep when it's ready. A small shift yet. A quiet revolution inside the mind. Additional supports habits. Environment tenderness. Sleep cannot be forced. It must be invited. Your invitations include turning off screens before bed, keeping your room dark, cool, quiet, avoiding late meals, limiting alcohol and caffeine, morning sunlight, evening wind, creating a relaxing ritual, warm showers, reading, journaling, sleeping and waking at the same time every day, even weekends. A good night's sleep is like a gentle relationship. It needs consistency, softness, and sincerity. There are nights filled with too little sleep, too little peace, too little space for the mind to rest. One side is overwhelm, the other is deprivation. Both whisper the same truth. Sleep is one of the most honest reflections of the soul's health. As Jung once wrote in The Undiscovered Self, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Sleep, or the lack of it, is often the path that leads us back to awareness, to self-understanding, to the hidden corners we usually avoid. And now, breathe a little slower. If you've made it this far, perhaps your eyelids feel heavy. That's all right. Let them be heavy. Let your body choose its own rhythm. Insomnia does not make you lesser. It only shows that you've been carrying more than you realized. And tonight, you don't have to carry it alone. Let this voice walk with you. Let each word become a thin blanket draped over your mind, not to force sleep, but simply to be here when you need it. Sleep will come. Not because you chase it, but because you have learned how to let go. Part 9, the history of dream interpretation. When humanity searches for meaning in the darkness, there is something strange about this. Those who cannot sleep, the restless, the wakeful, are often the ones who understand dreams most deeply. After journeying through Part 8, where we witnessed the fragility and complexity of poor sleep, we begin to see that sleep is not merely a biological need, but a doorway through which we touch the deepest regions of ourselves. And it is there, in that space where we are no longer fully conscious yet do not entirely disappear, that dreams begin. As Carl Jung wrote in The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, the dream is the small hidden door in the deepest and most intimate sanctum of the soul. A tiny door buried deep within the soul. A door humanity has tried to open since the earliest dawn of civilization. To understand dreams, we must walk backward through time, not with logic, but with feeling. For dreams have never been merely dreams. They are mirrors reflecting our longing for meaning. Close your eyes gently and let us take a slow tour through the long history of human souls who once dreamed. Before philosophy existed, long before humans questioned the unconscious, they believed dreams were the language of the gods. In ancient Sumer clay, tablets recorded the dreams of kings and warriors. A lion appearing in a dream might be a warning. A stream of clear water might be a promise of peace. The Egyptians went even further. They built dream temples, sacred places dedicated to sleeping, so the gods could offer prophecies through dreams. And the Greeks, under the shadow of their white-pillared temples, believed that Hypnos, the god of sleep, was the twin brother of Thanatos, the god of death. To them, dreams were a narrow path between life and death. Wandering spirits carried messages that humans needed to decipher. And perhaps from that era, we began to understand dreams were not only images but meaning, whispers from the universe. In the Bible, dreams became the medium through which God delivered warnings, guidance, or salvation. Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream of 7 fat cows and 7 thin cows. A nation was saved by a dream. Here, dreams were not symbols, they were destiny. Human beings believed that in the darkness of sleep, a higher will was speaking to them. Whether we believe this or not, one truth remains: humanity has always yearned to find meaning in the dark. As medieval Europe emerged, dreams became more dangerous. People believed dreams could come from God or from the devil. Beautiful dreams were blessings. Chaotic, sensual, or passionate dreams were temptations. People began to fear their own imagination at night. It was an era in which dreams were judged by morality, yet beneath that, the same old longing remained: the desire to understand oneself. Then came the modern age. In 1900, Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams, and dreams were never the same again. Freud believed dreams were the disguised expressions of repressed desires, things people could not admit to while awake. Every symbol had a true meaning buried beneath its surface form. Freud wrote, "The dream is the disguised fulfillment of a suppressed wish." To him, dreams were the mind's survival mechanism, a way to release what it could not speak aloud. Even though Freud's ideas are no longer considered absolute truth, he accomplished something monumental. He returned dreams to human beings. No longer messages from gods, but from ourselves. If Freud saw dreams through the shadow of desire, Jung saw them through the light of symbolism. In the sacred pages of the Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, he wrote, "Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes?" For Jung, dreams did not hide, they revealed. They were the mirror of the collective unconscious, the shared psychic heritage of humanity, where archetypes like the shadow, the mother, and the hero dwell. To him, dreams were therapy, the healing language of the soul. And perhaps thanks to Jung, we finally understand why someone in Vietnam and someone in Iceland can both dream of falling or being chased. Dreams are the language humanity shares. Stepping into the 21st century, dreams are no longer seen as mystical, but they have not become simpler. Scientists propose theories. Dreams help process memories. Dreams prepare the brain for danger. Threat simulation dreams arise from random neural firings. Activation synthesis dreams regulate emotion dreams, clean the neural pathways. There is no final answer, but just as in every historical era, one truth endures: dreams are where the mind rearranges what is too heavy to carry into daylight. The nights we spend awake staring into emptiness because sleep will not come lead us into nights filled with imagery, the same kinds of images humanity has tried to interpret for thousands of years, all asking the same question: why do we dream sleepless nights and vivid dreams, both whisper truths from the mind? Each era hears that whisper differently, but in the end, we all want the same thing: to understand ourselves. Dreams do not only reflect you, they reflect all of humanity. From gods to Freud, from symbols to neurons, from desire to memory. Dreams have always been the mirror in which humans seek meaning for their existence. And when you close your eyes tonight as the world outside drifts away, perhaps you'll feel it too. Your dream is simply the next chapter of a story that has been unfolding for more than 5,000 years. Part 10. How to interpret your own dreams when the mind whispers in its private language. After traveling together through the long history of dream interpretation from the clay tablets of ancient Sumer to Freud and Jung, and onward to the theories of modern neuroscience, we suddenly realize something very tender. Though every era has viewed dreams through a different lens, people everywhere across all ages have always longed for the same thing: to understand themselves. A dream on some deep level is the story the mind tells itself, not to impress, not to predict the future, not to frighten, but to tell you something you were too busy to hear in the brightness of day. As Jung once wrote in Man and His Symbols, the dream is a little hidden door in the innermost and most secret recesses of the soul. Now that our journey through the history of dreams has brought us back to this present night, your night, the important question becomes: how do you listen to those messages? How do you understand the language of dreams? Let me guide you a little further, slowly, as gently as waves brushing the shore of your awareness. Many people say they do not dream, but the truth is, everyone dreams. Some remember, some don't. To understand your dreams, you must first learn to keep them, and the simplest yet most powerful way is this: keep a dream journal. Place a small notebook beside your pillow. When you first wake, write down whatever remains: an image, a color, a faint emotion, a sentence, a scene. Do not try to make the dream coherent. Let it be messy just as it is. What matters is not detail but consistency. When you connect to your dreams by writing them down, the mind quietly learns, this matters, and it begins to hold on to more. After a few weeks, you'll be surprised to see forgotten dreams returning fragile but more complete. People often ask things like, what does it mean to dream of snakes? What does falling mean? What does it mean to see someone who has died? But dreams are not a dictionary of fixed symbols. They do not use imagery the way traffic signs use icons. The most important question always is, how did you feel in the dream? Were you afraid, relieved, ashamed, peaceful, threatened, liberated? Two people may dream of the same snake, one trembling, the other feeling protected. How could the meaning possibly be the same? Let emotion lead the way. Emotion is the key the unconscious always uses to speak with you. Ask yourself gently, what in my current life feels like this dream? Is there something I'm avoiding, the way I ran in my dream? What fear is pulling me down the way I fell in that dream? What desire lifts me the way I soared into the sky? Who or what in the dream reminds me of a part of myself I've forgotten? Do not search for one single answer. Dreams do not operate on linear logic. They are poetry, echoes, emotional fragments. What you need is to listen, not overanalyze. Since ancient times, entire libraries have been written to explain dreams. But nothing truly matters unless the symbol matters to you. You dream of water. What is water to you? The sea of your hometown, a fear, a cleansing, an old memory. You dream of someone who has passed away. What do they represent within you? Sadness. Protection, a sentence left unfinished. You dream of a door. What transition are you standing before in your waking life? A symbol does not live in a book. It lives in your life. Although most dreams are fragmented stories, there is one kind that holds special power: the recurring dream. If a dream returns a familiar room, a familiar person, a familiar fear, a familiar road, a story unfinished, it is not coincidence. The unconscious is knocking. not to frighten you, but to remind you that something inside is asking to be understood, to be healed. Jung once wrote in Symbols of Transformation, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." So when a dream keeps returning, it does not wish to scare you, it wants you to wake. If you want to understand your dreams more deeply, try these simple yet powerful habits. Ask a question before sleeping. It doesn't need to be elaborate, just whisper softly. What do I need to understand about myself? What is troubling me the most right now? What part of me needs to be heard? You are not commanding the dream, you are inviting it. Look back on your dreams with kindness. Dreams can be strange, frightening, chaotic, but all of them are you. No dream is against you. No symbol is trying to harm you. They are simply parts of you trying to speak. Don't try to understand immediately. A dream may need days or years to reveal its meaning. Let it ripen within you. Dream interpretation is not a science belonging to someone else. It is your own journey. Kings, priests, monks, philosophers, psychoanalysts all once interpreted dreams. But now the only one with the authority to interpret your dream is you. Dreams do not come to unsettle you. They come to whisper, to invite you back to the forgotten parts of yourself, to help you understand yourself a little more and then a little more every night. And tonight, if you dream, remember that what you see is not just imagery, but the deepest story your heart longs to tell. Let it whisper. Let it lead you inward. And you will see dream interpretation is not solving a puzzle, but listening. Only listening. Part 11. A love letter to sleep, after journeying through Part 10, where you learn to listen to your dreams, not as riddles to be solved, but as gentle whispers from the mind. We suddenly realize something tender and almost sacred. This entire journey, from science to philosophy, from fear to hope, has been guiding us toward one very small, very holy point: the art of resting. Sleep, the simplest, most ordinary thing, turns out to be the gift we most often forget to cherish. And perhaps now is the moment for us to pause, exhale softly, and say something we have delayed for far too long: a love letter to sleep. As Henry David Thoreau wrote in Walden, "The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it." And we have given away so much of our life to hurry to pressure, to the endless demands of the modern world, that sleep, the one place where we return completely to ourselves, has begun to feel like a luxury. But tonight we take it back, gently, quietly, as a ritual. Some nights when you lie down, a strange feeling might rise inside you: guilt. Guilt for sleeping early. Guilt for not doing more. Guilt for giving time to yourself. But the truth is, this sleep is not surrender. It is not weakness. It is not delay. Sleep is the body's way of telling you, "Let me take care of the rest." When you close your eyes, you are not leaving the world. You are simply stepping into another one, where the mind organizes memory, where the heart mends tiny fractures, where the body begins a healing process you are not aware of. In that darkness, you lose nothing. You are being restored. We speak so often of self-healing, of self-listening, of self-care, and yet we forget the simplest act of all: to sleep. No meditation, no therapy, no philosophy can bloom fully if you are sleep-deprived. Sleep is the foundation, the soil, the root of every awakening. And like every act of caring for yourself, sleep requires kindness, softness, reverence. As Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "All truly great thoughts are conceived by walking. We may add beautiful dreams, and beautiful days are born from peaceful nights." If you allow yourself to open your heart a little, I want to tell you something I used to be afraid of: the night. I once carried insomnia nights that felt endless without horizon. I have experienced sleep paralysis, the mind awake, but the body held down by an invisible darkness. I have tasted sleep deprivation so deep that my mind produced hallucinations, images, and sounds that did not belong to this world. On those nights, I understood one truth: the body was not fighting me. It was calling for help in the only way it knew how. And from that moment, I began creating small rituals, quiet acts of care, which slowly became the soft bridge that carried me back into sleep. Perhaps they might help you too, just as they once helped me. A cold and dark bedroom, cool air, is the softest invitation the body recognizes. It's time to rest. And darkness, complete darkness, allows melatonin to flow like a quiet river. A bed used only for sleep, no laptop, no Netflix, no scrolling, no just relaxing for a bit. Only sleep. So the mind can relearn bed equals safety. Hot water, then cold water. Warm water softens the muscles. Cold water marks the transition into rest mode. A small ritual, but subtle and powerful. Soft podcasts or steady, gentle sounds. Not to understand, just to dissolve. Let the voice become a backdrop against which your thoughts begin to fade. A wind-down routine, a ritual of retreat. Turn off the lights, fold a few clothes, straighten the blanket, pour a glass of water. A sense of closing the day, a soft completion. And when everything settles, your breath will slow on its own, without forcing, without effort. Interpreting dreams helps you understand what unfolds inside, but cherishing sleep is the way you treat yourself with tenderness from the outside. Dreams are the voice of the soul. Sleep is the embrace of the body. One leads you inward, one holds you when you are too tired to travel any further. Both matter. Both are you. And now, as the night stretches long enough for you to forget time itself, I want to say the final words of this entire journey. Sleep is not something you have to do. It is something you get to do. Sleep takes nothing from you. It returns. It returns clarity. It returns peace. It returns the deeper layers of your being, the layers where you no longer have to be strong. And when you lie down tonight, when your eyelids grow heavy, when your breath softens, remember this: you are not alone. Every tiny cell within you is whispering, "Thank you for bringing us home." So let me say one last sentence. Sleep is not something you have to do, it's something you get to do. A privilege, a ritual, a gift. May you have a gentle night, a sleep as deep as the ocean, and dreams as light as morning mist upon a still lake. Sleep well, little friend of the night. You have done enough. Part 12. A journey through the world of sleep and dreams, a whisper to close the night as we arrive here in the place where sleep reveals itself as a gentle love letter to your own being. We can sense that beneath all the knowledge, all the stories, all the theories we have traveled through, there is an invisible thread weaving the entire journey together. A long journey, a deep journey, a profoundly human journey. From the very first moment we asked, "What is sleep?" to the moment we faced dream symbols, stood before nightmares, drifted through lucid dreaming, or brushed against the fragile threshold of insomnia and sleep disorders. Every step we now realize has been leading us toward one truth. Sleep is not merely biological. It is a ritual of self-love. But to see that clearly, we must look back at this journey the way we look back at a long night when dawn begins to bloom softly at the horizon. We began where science spoke first, sleep as a cycle of restoration, regeneration, cleansing, and rebalancing. 90 minutes, 4 stages, slow NREM, radiant RM. The brain never shuts down. It simply changes rhythm, shifts into another mode, deeper, older, more ancient in its wisdom. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look." Sleep is the time the body returns to that source of strength, a place we often forget exists in the brightness of day. Then we entered the oldest question of all. Why do we dream? Freud explained it through repressed desires. Jung saw the dream as a message from the collective unconscious of humanity. Neuroscientists view dreams as random activation or a mechanism for memory consolidation. Different theories, yet one truth remains unchanged. Dreams are where the mind is most free, where time and space bend, where logic sleeps, where only symbols and emotions remain. A kind of sacred cinema only you can watch. You run, you fly, you fall, you meet those who are gone. You face parts of yourself you never speak of. Strange, soft, haunting. Beautiful, the dream is the mirror of the soul. As we sleep, different regions of the brain begin their private dialogue. Amygdala, emotion. Hippocampus, memory. Occipital lobe, imagery. Prefrontal cortex, logic, stepping away. And so we accept the most impossible things as if they were completely natural. In that same darkness, the body is locked REM paralysis, so we do not act out our dreams. In those moments, we are stepping backstage into the theater of the mind, where silent directors craft dream worlds no one else can see. Falling, loss of control. Being chased, avoidance. Beneath every image lies emotion. Nightmares appearing to be enemies are in truth signals. Letters made of anxiety written in images. They do not come to harm you, but to help you face what you have locked away for too long. Jung wrote in the Red Book, In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. A nightmare is exactly that chaos whirled on the surface, but containing a secret order within. Then we met lucid dreams, where you know you are dreaming, where you become the writer of your own world, where fear can be faced, where wounds find pathways to healing, where you can fly, run, create, and listen to yourself on a level you've never touched before. A dream becomes a form of meditation, a space of practice, a small sanctuary of consciousness. Sleep paralysis when the mind wakes while the body sleeps. Sleepwalking when the body rises while the mind stays behind. Narcolepsy where the boundary between sleep and wakefulness constantly blurs. Restless leg syndrome, the body whispering through discomfort. These are not strange faults, they are signals, ways the body tells us something has slipped out of rhythm with nature. Compassion, not fear, is always the first response. Stress, overthinking, melatonin delayed by screens, the bed becoming associated with anxiety. But insomnia is never your fault. It is a reminder that you have been strong for too long, that your mind needs an embrace, not criticism. There is no dictionary that can decode every dream. Only you can understand your own symbols. Recurring dreams are knocks on the door. Beautiful dreams are reassurance. Chaotic dreams are calls for help. All of them are you at different depths. And then, after passing through everything from science to mysticism, from neurons to archetypes, we realize that what we have truly been seeking is not a single correct theory, but peace. Peace in understanding that sleep is a gift. Peace in knowing that dreams are companions in the darkness. Peace in feeling that the body throughout your entire life has always tried to protect you. And ultimately, this journey ends where it began within yourself. Sleep is not something you must do. It is something you are allowed to do. It is love. It is forgiveness. It is the body saying thank you. As you lay your head down tonight, as your breath slows like a river settling into a still lake, know that you are stepping into one of humanity's most sacred rituals, the ritual of returning to yourself. And in that quiet, I wish you something as soft as night wind and as deep as the sky. Sleep gently, dream beautifully, and wake as a softer version of yourself.